My name is Serena Vale, and I was 28. The morning I realized my relationship had already ended without anyone saying a word. There was no dramatic fight, no late night argument, no tearful conversation. What ended it was a pastel colored Instagram quote posted by the man I had loved for 3 years. Manifesting a woman who actually spoils me. I saw it while eating cold leftover pizza half asleep and not expecting my entire life to tilt sideways before 9 a.m. The username above the graphic belonged to Adrian, my 26-year-old boyfriend. The soft cursive font and aesthetic background made it look almost inspirational if it hadn't been a public accusation wrapped in glitter. Just 12 hours earlier, we had argued at the mall. He'd dragged me into a luxury boutique to admire a $800 designer men's bag. He posed with it in front of the mirror, tilting his shoulder like he was filming an ad campaign. Then he flashed the kind of bright rehearsed smile he used whenever he wanted something. Babe, this would look amazing on me. You know it would. I liked nice things, but I also lived in reality. I earned decent money as a software developer, about $95,000 a year, but I was paying down student loans, helping my younger brother through college, and saving for a home. Spending nearly $4,000 on a bag was simply impossible, not to mention irresponsible. When I told him this gently, he shut down. No words during the drive home, no eye contact while we cooked, no warmth when we went to bed, silence heavy and punishing. And now here was the result, a public declaration that he wanted a woman who would actually spoil him. The comments already piling under his post were worse. Yes, King, know your worth. A real woman invests in her man. She probably doesn't appreciate you anyway. I put down the pizza. Something in my chest tightened. Not pain, but clarity. 3 years of anniversaries, weekend trips I paid for, birthday surprises, and conversations about our future undone because I wouldn't buy him a bag worth more than my monthly rent. I typed the only thing that felt honest. Hope you get it. Not angry, not spiteful, just done. I set my phone aside and got ready for work, moving with a strange, quiet certainty. The decision had already been made inside me. I was simply catching up to it. By lunch, my phone looked like it was auditioning for a disaster movie. 19 missed calls, 32 text messages. The tone shifted with every batch. Confusion. What does your comment mean? Are you being dramatic? Anger. You embarrassed me. My mom saw your comment. Seriously. Bargaining. I was venting. You know I didn't mean it that way. Please just talk to me. I didn't respond. Instead, I updated my LinkedIn profile, polished my resume, and applied for 3 remote positions I'd bookmarked months ago, but never dared to pursue. Adrian had always discouraged anything that made me more independent. Now I could finally step forward without asking permission. After work, I went to my friend Mariah's apartment. She listened as I showed her screenshots, shaking her head in disbelief. Girl, he failed a test he didn't even know he was taking, she said, sipping her iced tea dramatically. I laughed for the first time all day. That night, when I returned home, my Ring camera blinked. Someone was at my door. Adrian. He tried the spare key, the one he'd kept for emergencies, then knocked instead. I opened the door. I had already placed a cardboard box next to it, his things neatly packed. A hoodie, his shaving kit, his favorite mug. He stared at the box as if it were an insult. What is this? Your stuff, I said. I figured you'd want it since you're manifesting a new woman. His expression crumpled. You're ending our relationship over an Instagram post. No, I'm ending it because you publicly declared you want someone else. The post just made it visible. It was about the bag, Serena, just the bag. It was about respect, I corrected. 3 years of me supporting us, planning everything, paying for everything I could, making sure we were okay. And the second I say no to something unreasonable, you humiliate me. He tried to soften. His voice broke. I just wanted to feel appreciated. You were appreciated, I said. Past tense. His eyes hardened. You're going to regret this. You'll never find someone who loves you like I do. I stepped back from the doorway. That's the goal. He grabbed the box and stormed down the hall. The door slammed behind him so hard my neighbor texted me asking if I was safe. When the apartment finally fell quiet, I leaned against the wall and waited for sadness, guilt, fear, anything. But none of it came. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. Not the dramatic, tear-soaked kind. The subtle kind that settles in your bones when you finally stop carrying something heavy. I spent the next morning doing something I should have done months earlier, clearing space. Not physical space, though that came later, but mental space. Emotional space. The kind of space you can only create when you finally stop trying to hold together something that's already cracked beyond repair. I blocked Adrian everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, email. Even the old shared Netflix profile where he'd saved dozens of shows he never actually watched. I removed him from my favorites list, deleted our photos from my phone, and placed the small leftover reminders of him into the donation box by my front door. His number went into voicemail. Purgatory, his contact photo erased his existence, reduced to digital silence. It felt strangely peaceful. But Adrian wasn't the only one who struggled with silence. His circle reacted faster than he did. By noon, while I was chopping vegetables during my first real attempt at meal prepping in months, my phone buzzed with a message from Connor, his closest friend. Connor had never liked me. He barely hid it, but apparently felt qualified to comment on my breakup. Serena, he hasn't eaten in 24 hours. You broke him. You're cold. I stared at the message for a moment, then typed one letter. K. No explanation, no justification, no debate. Blocked. 2 minutes later, another message popped up, this time from Riley, Adrian's sister. The same Riley who rarely acknowledged me unless she needed help picking out birthday gifts or someone to vent to about her ex. Adrian is devastated. He loved you. How could you leave over a misunderstanding? Before I could even mentally respond, I tapped her Instagram story out of habit, and there he was, at brunch, with a towering stack of pancakes, smiling like he was auditioning for a cafe commercial. Captioned, self-care breakfast. So much for not eating. Blocked. By Wednesday, the constant buzzing slowed. My world, once filled with Adrian's complaints, demands, and emotional storms, felt strangely quiet. In that quiet, I realized how much energy I'd been pouring into keeping him stable, comfortable, validated. Now that he was gone, I felt something I hadn't in months: mental clarity. I returned to my online certification course, something I'd bought on sale last year, but never had time or energy to complete. Without Adrian complaining that I worked too much or didn't pay attention to him, I breezed through the first module in a weekend. I started waking up earlier, going to the gym without rushing and cooking actual meals, instead of picking up whatever takeout Adrian preferred. I called my younger brother, who told me his classes were going well. He sounded relieved to hear from me, something I didn't expect. I reached out to Mariah and 2 other friends Adrian had always complained about. We met for dinner, and they told me the same thing in different words. I looked lighter. Maybe they were right. But just when my world began stabilizing, Adrian started to shake. On Thursday afternoon, while I was deep into a new coding training video, my phone rang with a random number. I declined it. Not even a minute later, a text arrived. Serena, please, I just need to explain. Delete, block. 5 minutes later, another unknown number. You're overreacting. We can fix this. Block. Then a third. I messed up. I miss you. It was exhausting, but also predictable. Every time I blocked one number, another emerged, like the universe was testing my resolve. I passed every time. Friday came, and with it, a moment I had been avoiding for years, updating my resume. Adrian always said things like, "You're lucky to have your job," or "Remote roles are scams," or "If you get too busy, we won't have time for each other." I finally realized how much he'd benefited from my hesitation. So I polished everything: skills, project links, certifications, and hit submit on 3 remote job applications during lunch. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional, just me taking a step forward. That night, I posted a professional update on LinkedIn, feeling motivated as I start exploring new opportunities in software engineering. It was normal, quiet, mature, the kind of thing any adult might share. Somehow Adrian saw it. Saturday morning, I woke to my phone vibrating nonstop. Not messages from recruiters, those came later, but notifications from Mariah. She'd sent only 2 words, "Oh God." Then she attached a link. Adrian had posted a TikTok. He was sitting in his car, eyes, teary voice, dramatic camera, angled to capture every shadow on his jawline. I was with this woman for 3 years. He began sounding like a tragic movie character, and she left me because I wanted to feel appreciated. A man deserves to feel valued too. The video already had tens of thousands of views. The comments were what you'd expect from people who only heard one version of a story. Men deserve gifts. She sounds selfish. You dodged a bullet, King. You'll find someone who treats you right. But then he made a mistake. He posted another video, this time showing screenshots of our texts from a month ago. He wanted to prove I was stingy and unreasonable, but he forgot the screenshot also showed his own reply. "If you can't afford to date me properly, just say that." The internet noticed instantly. Wait, she was saving money. That doesn't help your case, bro. You asked her to buy you things 3 years, and you ended it over a bag. His comment section turned into a battlefield, and he was losing. While that was happening, I got an email. We would love to interview you next Tuesday. My heart pounded. The company was one of the best remote-first tech firms I'd ever dreamed of working for. The pay bump alone would change my entire year. I accepted the interview, ran to the bathroom, and stared at myself in the mirror, hair messy, wearing old pajamas, but smiling like I had just been handed the key to something larger than myself. Sunday, I unplugged from the world. I drank coffee on my balcony, watched the city move below me, and let myself breathe without tension. My apartment, once cluttered with Adrian's moods, felt like a sanctuary again. Then another number texted me. "You ruined my life." I didn't block it immediately. Something in me felt too calm. I typed back, "Start fixing it yourself." A pause. Then, "Serena, just talk to me." I set my phone aside and opened my study material. There was nothing left to say. What I didn't know then was that this peaceful reset was only temporary. Adrian wasn't finished, not even close. And soon he would find a new way to twist the story. The interview for the remote engineering position was scheduled for Tuesday at 9 a.m. I woke up early, brewed coffee, and sat by my window as soft sunlight filtered through the curtains. For once, nervousness didn't feel like dread, it felt like momentum. It felt like mine. I wore a clean blue blouse and tied my hair back, opening my laptop in a space that finally felt uncluttered, quiet, and mine alone. The interview went better than I expected. The hiring manager was warm, thoughtful, and actually listened when I spoke. She asked about my portfolio, complimented the precision of my code, and even said she loved one of the mobile apps I had built 2 years ago. When she smiled at the end and said, "You should hear from us very soon." This was an excellent conversation. I felt warmth bloom in my chest, a softness I hadn't felt in months, a kind of confidence that didn't rely on anyone else's approval. 3 hours later, an email appeared in my inbox. "We are delighted to offer you the senior software engineer position." I read the line twice, then again, then one more time just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. A 40% pay increase, remote flexibility, signing bonus, better benefits. A path upward that didn't require dimming myself to keep someone else comfortable. I covered my face with my hands and exhaled long and slow. It was the kind of realization that hits all at once, that if one person stops blocking your sunlight, you discover how brightly you can actually grow. I called Mariah first. She screamed so loudly her coworkers in the background were asking what happened. "You're kidding, Serena, no hold on everyone, shut up. She got the job." Her voice echoed with pride, and for once I accepted it fully. Later that day, still glowing, I took a photo of my home office setup, dual monitors, a minimalist desk lamp, clean workspace notebook closed neatly beside my keyboard. The caption was simple. Investing in myself paid off. New role, new chapter. The likes rolled in quickly. Friends, coworkers, even old classmates congratulated me. It felt like a fresh beginning. And then, of course, the chaos found me again. 28 minutes after posting a text came in from an unknown number. "Must be nice to suddenly have money for yourself." I didn't flinch, didn't tighten my jaw, didn't feel guilt. I typed back. "It is, actually. Thanks for the manifestation help." The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, returned, stopped, returned again. For almost 10 minutes, it flickered like static, then finally, "That's not what I meant, and you know it," I replied. "You manifested a woman who would spoil you. I manifested a life where I could spoil myself. We both won." This time, the typing bubble stayed longer. Then came the final blow. "I want my watch back." The confusion hit so fast, I laughed out loud in my living room. "What watch?" "The one I gave you for Christmas." I leaned back against the couch and stared at the screen. Christmas. The only thing he gave me that year was a $25 cologne sample set from Sephora, still unopened under my bathroom sink. "Adrian, you never gave me a watch. You gave me a cologne sampler. The receipt was still in the bag." Silence, and then nothing. I blocked the number. With the new job secured, my days suddenly had shape again. I worked from small cafes, sometimes from my balcony, sometimes curled up on the couch with my laptop resting on a pillow. I started sleeping earlier, cooking meals that actually nourished me, and enjoying quiet mornings that weren't overshadowed by someone else's dissatisfaction. At the gym, I wasn't trying to tone myself to match some imaginary ideal. I wanted to feel strong, capable, grounded. My brother called more often, proudly talking about internships and final projects. My mom told me she could hear something different in my voice. I knew what she meant. The heaviness was gone. But whenever life starts to stabilize, the people who thrive on chaos begin to panic. The eruption started on a Saturday afternoon. I was working on my new job's onboarding tasks at a cozy cafe when Mariah texted me a screenshot without any explanation, which coming from her meant something absurd had happened. It was Adrian. He posted a picture on Instagram from a rooftop restaurant. Across from him sat a woman in a red dress with heavy makeup and a hesitant smile. Her body language screamed discomfort. Adrian was sitting confidently, jaw tight, hand resting possessively on her shoulder. His caption, "When she actually understands your worth." At Serena Vale. I hope you're happy now. My eyes narrowed. Not in anger, just in disbelief at how predictable he'd become. So typical. The part that made me shake my head wasn't the attempt to provoke jealousy. It was the tagging. He wanted me to see it, needed me to react. I typed a single comment. I am. Congrats on manifesting what you wanted. No sarcasm, no venom, just a truth he didn't expect. Within 40 minutes, the entire post disappeared, deleted without a trace. But not before Mariah and at least 2 mutual acquaintances saved screenshots. LMAO, he couldn't handle your reply, Mariah texted. Another friend added, that poor girl looked like she ordered a salad and got served a whole crisis. Even my former coworker, someone who barely knew the story, messaged, that guy has main character syndrome. I closed the messages and finished my coffee. That night I did something I'd always wanted but never pursued because Adrian dismissed it as too far, too expensive, or not our vibe. I booked a 2-week solo trip to Japan. I chose the flights, the hotels, the tiny local restaurants I wanted to try. I planned hikes, visited shrines, and mapped out markets I'd seen in travel vlogs. The trip was perfect, quiet, grounding, filled with small joys. I wandered down lantern-lit streets, ate the best ramen of my life, watched the sunrise near Mount Fuji, and took soft photos of places that felt otherworldly. I didn't pose, didn't perform, didn't document my face once. Just experiences moments for myself. When I posted 2 simple landscape photos, I didn't think much of it. I was halfway across the world feeling more peaceful than I had in years. But while I was living quietly, Adrian was unraveling loudly. When I landed back home exhausted but happy, I turned on my phone and saw 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. Then a text from my mother. Honey, some boy named Adrian called me, saying you stole his grandfather's watch. My suitcase slipped slightly from my grip. He wasn't spiraling anymore. He was inventing new stories. And now he had crossed into my family's world. My mother sounded confused in her text, but not alarmed. She'd met Adrian twice, just enough to know he was dramatic, but not enough to understand the depth of his theatrics. What worried me wasn't that he contacted her. It was the level of invention he had reached. A grandfather's watch. Adrian's grandfather was alive. I'd met him during a barbecue last summer. He'd spent half an hour telling Adrian to stop acting entitled and get a real plan for his life. And now suddenly I had stolen a precious heirloom. I stepped into my apartment, dropped my suitcase, and let the quiet settle. Jet lag hit me slowly like waves brushing against my legs. But beneath it was irritation, and beneath that, something colder. If Adrian was escalating this far, he wasn't just desperate. He was trying to rewrite the narrative. I texted my mom back. Please ignore anything he says. None of it is true. She replied almost instantly. Oh, honey, I know. He sounded emotional, but also confused. I told him to speak to a lawyer if something was missing. He said he'd consider it like he was doing me a favor. My mom added a laughing emoji. I felt a small flicker of relief. At least she wasn't fooled. After showering, eating, and resting for an hour, I messaged Kevin, one of the few mutual friends Adrian and I shared who had stayed neutral throughout everything. He picked up instantly. Serena. I was about to call you, he said. Listen, Adrian had a full-on meltdown in the group chat yesterday. Something about you being in Japan and how it proves you lied about finances. People told him to calm down, but he kept spiraling. I sighed. Of course he did. And the watch story, Kevin continued lowering his voice. He told people you stole a family heirloom before leaving the country, but when someone asked for proof, he said he didn't have the emotional energy to discuss it. That tracked. Adrian never had proof of anything, just feelings he believed were facts. Thanks for telling me, I said. I'm going to start documenting everything. Good, Kevin replied. And Serena. He's making a fool of himself. Most people see it. That helped, but it didn't erase the unease sitting in my stomach. Someone like Adrian didn't just crumble privately, he scorched everything around him. 2 days later, I was unpacking my suitcase when the Ring camera chimed. I checked my phone. Adrian was standing outside my apartment building, and he wasn't alone. Beside him was a tall man with a stiff posture and the expression of someone regretting all of his life choices. He looked vaguely familiar, probably the same guy from the rooftop restaurant post Adrian deleted. I opened the app's microphone. "What do you want, Adrian?" He didn't look directly at the camera. "We need to talk." "No, we don't." His jaw tightened and he motioned to the man beside him. "This is Dimitri. He's here because I want my things." I blinked. "Your things? I gave you everything in that box the night we broke up." "You didn't give me my grandfather's watch." "There is no watch," I replied, "and you know it." Dimitri's head snapped toward Adrian. "Wait, what watch?" Adrian stiffened. "The one she stole." I opened the door then, not all the way, just enough to meet their eyes. "Adrian," I said calmly, "you made up the story about the watch, just like you made up the story about me ruining your life, and now you're dragging strangers into your drama. Leave my property, right now." His expression twisted into something ugly. "You're lying. Tell him, Serena. Tell him you took it." "Dude," I said, looking directly at Dimitri Run. The man blinked. "What?" "Trust me. Just go. You don't want to be part of whatever this is." Dimitri hesitated, then he took 2 steps back. Adrian grabbed his arm. "Don't walk away. She's manipulating you." But Dimitri was already retreating. "Man, you told me she stole your grandmother's necklace, not a watch." I stared at Adrian. "A necklace now interesting. Because your grandmother is alive, and I met her. And she's the one who told you to stop acting like a princess." His face flushed scarlet. "You won't get away with this," he barked. I pulled out my phone. "Hi, I'd like to report harassment." Adrian didn't even wait for me to finish. He bolted down the hallway so fast he nearly tripped over Dimitri, who muttered a strained, "Bro, what the hell?" before hurrying away. When the hallway was finally quiet, I closed my door and leaned against it. My hands were steady, my breathing calm. That surprised me. Months earlier, this scene would have sent me spiraling. Now it just confirmed what I already knew. Adrian wasn't looking for closure, he was looking for control, and he would invent as many lies as it took to get it. That night, as I settled in with tea, my phone buzzed again. Kevin sent another screenshot. Adrian had posted a long dramatic rant in a local Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook group. A full novel-length post about how I love-bombed, then discarded him, how I weaponized finances, and how he set healthy boundaries about being treated with respect. What Adrian didn't anticipate was that Kevin commented under it. He posted a screenshot of Adrian's manifesting a woman who spoils me post. The text showing Adrian telling me to date him properly. The brunch photo proving Adrian wasn't starving. The TikTok comments turning on him. And a final line. "This is the real story." Within minutes, the comments roasted Adrian so brutally he deleted the post. But it didn't matter. Screenshots were already everywhere. And then the final twist? A comment from someone unexpected. "Dimitri, for context, I went on 2 dates with this guy. He spent both talking about his ex and asking me to buy him things to prove I was serious. When I said I wanted to take things slow, he accused me of being just like Serena. Honestly, Serena's the smart one." I stared at the screen, speechless for a moment. Then I laughed. A slow, stunned, disbelieving laugh. It was over, not because Adrian stopped, but because his own lies collapsed on him. By the time Dimitri's comment finished circulating, Adrian's reputation had collapsed faster than he could rebuild it. The screenshots spread across multiple group chats, private forums, and even a few Instagram stories from mutual acquaintances who added captions like, "Who the audacity, and imagine being this committed to delusion." I didn't engage, didn't comment, didn't even react. Watching his accusations implode under the weight of his own contradictions was more closure than I ever expected to get. Instead, I turned my focus fully to the life unfolding in front of me, the life I had been trying to build long before Adrian ever entered the picture. The remote job began smoothly. My new team welcomed me with warmth and professionalism, and within weeks, I found myself genuinely excited to log in each morning. The autonomy felt intoxicating. No commute, no micromanagement, no emotional turmoil simmering in the background. My days found a comfortable rhythm. Productive mornings, calm afternoons, evenings spent cooking proper meals or working on my Japanese travel journal. I slept deeply, I laughed more, I felt like myself in a way I hadn't realized I'd been missing. With the pay raise, my savings stacked up faster than I expected. I mapped out a long-term plan, investments, future goals, and eventually something bigger. A home. A space that belonged to no one but me. 2 months after Japan, I did something I had never seriously imagined during my relationship with Adrian. I toured a townhouse near the edge of the city. It was quiet, sunlit, with a small patch of garden soil behind the sliding glass doors. Before walking out, I looked back one more time. The empty living room, the staircase curving upstairs, the way the light softened everything, it felt like possibility. That night I made the down payment, and a week later I held the keys. I took one picture, just the key ring in my palm. No dramatic angle, no house tour, no captions about success or revenge. Just a simple, intentional statement. Sometimes the best investment is in yourself. The comments poured in supportive, warm, full of love. Even people I hadn't spoken to in ages reached out. My sister wrote, "Proud of you." My brother added, "I knew you'd get here." Mariah commented, "You bloomed." My co-workers wrote encouragement. Old friends sent congratulations. Even some of Adrian's former friends liked the post. None of them said anything, but they didn't have to. It was clear who had grown and who hadn't. Just when I thought the silence had finally settled, a new text arrived from yet another unfamiliar number. "I hope you're happy. You ruined my reputation." No greeting, no ownership, no apology. Just blame. I didn't block him this time, not out of curiosity, but because I wanted to see if there was anything left in him that resembled truth. I waited, then typed nothing. Silence stretched for minutes. Eventually, he sent another. "You don't understand how hard this has been for me. Everyone turned against me because of you." Still, I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He followed with one last message. "You'll regret this someday." That was it. No threats, no theatrics, just a hollow echo of the man who once tried to build an identity out of being spoiled and adored. I blocked the number. And in that moment, I realized the transformation was complete, not just mine, but the entire dynamic. Adrian no longer had any power here. No space, no influence, no access. After the watch lie, the necklace lie, the harassment, and his attempts to drag my family into the mess I gathered. Everything screenshots, timestamps, saved posts, the ring footage, and sent it all to my lawyer friend. 3 days later, the cease and desist letter went out. Clear, firm, legally binding. Adrian went silent. Not a single text, not a single fake number message, not even a passive-aggressive Instagram story. Just gone. His disappearance didn't scare me. It relieved me. It was the first time since the breakup that I trusted the quiet. The funniest, most unexpected part came 1 month later. A new Instagram notification appeared. "Dimitri started following you." At first I rolled my eyes, but then I checked his page. He wasn't posting thirst traps or passive-aggressive quotes. He mostly shared photos of hiking trails, cooking experiments, and his cat. He DM'd me. "Hope this isn't weird. I just wanted to say thanks. You definitely saved me from getting drained financially and mentally." He added a laughing emoji. I couldn't help but smile. We met for coffee once. Not romantically, just two people who managed to escape the gravitational pull of someone who never learned accountability. Dimitri was funny, kind, and surprisingly insightful. We talked about life, work, and the bizarre journey that unintentionally connected us. He said Adrian tried to make me buy him Balenciaga sneakers on the second date. I nearly choked on my drink. We never became close friends, but he was a reminder, an unexpected one, that even the strangest chapters of your life can lead to clarity and humor in hindsight. Closure the right kind. Months passed. Seasons shifted. My home took shape, furnished slowly, intentionally, in colors and textures I loved. I planted mint and basil in the small garden. I built a reading nook by the window. I cooked meals that filled the place with warmth. I set up my home office the way I had always wanted. And one evening, as I sat in that little nook with a soft blanket and a cup of tea, I reread the very first line of Adrian's infamous Instagram post. "Manifesting a woman who actually spoils me." I let out a quiet, almost amused breath. He'd been manifesting the wrong thing entirely. Because I had manifested peace, stability, growth, a home, a future, a life defined by my own choices, not someone else's demands.